Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're on the floor because I need to repot a lot of my cuttings. I literally have so many cuttings just in random jars all over the house, and I'm really running out of space for more cuttings that I'm taking from my plants. So I need to pot some of them up. I went out and got some more pots today just to do that. And then I also need to check on the roots of some of my other plants because I like to do that periodically just to make sure that nothing's wrong. And particularly I have a begonia that just seems to not be the happiest. And I saw someone today post that there was like one of those little mesh like plant starter things around their begonia, and I just need to check that out because now I'm kind of paranoid that that's what's happening with mine. So let's get into that. So I think first things first, what I'm going to do is check the roots of some of my plants, because if there is something wrong with that and I do need to, you know, propagate that and put that in some water, then I have some of that soil left over and I can just reuse that and I don't have to get out like a bunch of new soil from my bag. So yeah, I'm gonna start with begonia just because that's the one that I'm most worried about. So here's my begonia. It is a bit crispy lately. I don't know why, because it's getting plenty of humidity and I'm not overwatering it at all. I'm not sure. It's putting out new leaves and everything, but it just doesn't seem the happiest. Yeah, I've had it for a while, but I don't know why I haven't checked it yet. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I have my big tub in front of me that's gonna catch all the soil. And yeah, let's check out the roots. So this is the begonia that I actually staked to some poles. So I just need to unstake it and then, yeah, we can move on from there. I did take some cuttings off of this begonia about a month ago or so, and it has roots already. I just don't want to pot it up yet because I just don't feel like it's ready quite yet. But that one even seems a lot happier than this one right now. So like always, I kind of just squeeze the pot a bit to get it all loosened up, and then with this begonia in particular, it's got some thick stems, so I think it should be fine to just pop it out of the pot. So I think we have successfully found the culprit of why this begonia has not been very happy. And I'll try to get it closer to the camera so you can see. So if you can see here, this is a little mesh wrap around the roots, and they use it to start plants a lot of times. The problem is once you have this mesh on there, the roots are confined to that mesh spot and they can't grow anywhere because this mesh, it kind of just compacts the dirt in there, and like it tears off pretty easily, but the roots can't tear through that themselves. So that creates quite a problem, and it doesn't let the roots dry out as they should. As you can see on this one, there's pretty much hardly any roots left, so that is a bit of a problem. So the first one, we have no roots on this begonia anymore. It's a cute little begonia though, and I think he'll bounce right back once we, now that we've removed all of that. And yeah, that is kind of nice knowing that that was the problem and it wasn't me just failing taking care of it. I'm probably gonna put that into water to try to rehab it a bit because the roots are so small. But now we're gonna take a look at the bigger one. So it's the same thing for this one. I can already feel that there's that mesh wrap around it, and the roots have come outside of that a bit better than the smaller one, but it's still just creating so many problems for this plant. This one has a lot more roots. It's not too badly, yeah, the roots aren't too bad a shape. It's kind of just, it was affecting the rest of the plant a lot. So I'm really glad I got that off, and I'm just trying to get every last piece of it off. But now we've got this begonia, and one of those leaves snapped off too, but that's okay. So now we've got this begonia left, and its roots aren't big enough for its original pot that it was in, which was a 6-inch. I mean, it might be okay. I just don't like I like my plants a bit more root bound, and they seem to always like that anyways. So I'm probably gonna pot down if I have enough pots for that. But we'll see. I'm gonna put them to the side right now while I decide that though. Okay, so the next one I needed to check is actually my peperomia hope. So I just watered my peperomia hope today. Here he is, he's been happy. He's been growing and everything, but I can tell the soil is very compact and just not the greatest. So I'm going to check out the state of that because I just don't know what's going on underneath there. And I'm more scared for this one because peperomia, these ones kind of, oh, it just, okay. So, so it got watered and everything, which is great, but it, okay, let me, so it's like dripping with water right now because I don't know, I didn't think of this earlier, but you know, these pots, they just have that little, so they have a tray inside of them that's supposed to allow water to drain out, but then when you get inside the pot, it kind of sticks up a bit, so then there's a little divot where water just sits, which causes problems because pots aren't supposed to be like that because you can't have just standing water in there all the time. But yeah, this soil is soaked more than you would expect, even if you just watered, because yeah, that's just not good. So I'm gonna break up the soil because it still is just very compact and very like, it slid right out of the pot. So that's not really supposed to happen. Yeah, so I'm gonna break it up real quick. And I'm just getting most of the soil off. I know peperomia have very thin roots, so it's kind of impossible to get all of the soil off of there, but I'm just gonna try to remove most of it. That way it doesn't overwhelm the roots. If I left this plant and didn't check them tonight though, they would have definitely been a goner after this watering today because it just was not, yeah, there was no room in that pot for water to drain out because it just was not the right pot. And I wanted to repot it anyways, but yeah, just glad I did, really. The nice thing about peperomia is, so there's quite a few leaves breaking off of this hope just because of the nature of the plant and the thick leaves and all that sort of stuff. But because it's a peperomia, I can just propagate those leaves and make more little plants, which is fun. It's great. Okay, so that one was a lot messier than the first one. And before I pot this one up again, I am gonna rinse it off just because the leaves are a bit dirty because of all the soil and it just sticks everywhere. But yeah, I'm going to propagate the leaves that fell off. I'm going to repot this one at the end as well, just because I just kind of want the roots to dry out a bit more still, so I'm gonna do that. But I'm going to go wash my hands and then we're gonna get started on some of my propagations. So my first priority on my like propagations list is actually my micans, because it's grown a lot and it's just kind of overgrown. Not overgrown, there's still a ton of space in this little glass it's in, but I want to put it in one of my hanging baskets that I've made, and I can't do that if it's in a glass of water. So I'm going to pot that up into, I think just into its original pot that it was in. Yeah, that should be plenty of room. But yeah, that's the one that I for sure want to make sure that I get done tonight. And yeah, just squared away really. I'm just gonna pop all those out, and then I also have some more of these cuttings in a separate vase, so I need to grab those as well. So I have these two smaller cuttings as well as my big main like portion of micans, and I think I'm gonna save these actually because I've been wanting to put together a just like one pot of a like mix, you know, like the Frankenstein pots. I don't know if you've seen those, but it's like a mix of different kinds of pothos is usually what I see them done with, but I kind of want to mix these with like some scindapsus and some pothos and some other different heartleaf philodendron. It might look terrible, but I kind of think it could look good. So I'm actually gonna save these two for that, I think, and maybe pot those up later. Okay, so for the main ones, we've already got them all together here. So I don't think I really need to separate them out at all because they'll be fine. But we got this beautiful root system, and it grew a lot actually. All these white roots at the bottom are the water roots. But yeah, I think that's the perfect amount of roots for this pot. So yeah, we're just gonna put a little bit of soil into the bottom and then fill it up as we go. And there we go, now the micans is all potted up. It is a bit dirty, but that's gonna happen with your plants no matter how hard you try to not have them be dirty. I just have to clean it up afterwards, but I'm super happy that he's finally potted up because he looks so much better in a pot just trailing off like that, and I can put him on a shelf, in a hanging basket, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think I actually am going to make that little hybrid philodendron, micans, and maybe scindapsus pot now because yeah, I just think it'd be a fun thing to do, and I wouldn't really want to put pothos with it actually anyways, because the shapes of the leaves aren't quite the same. But yeah, so that one we're gonna do next. And this is just gonna be the smallest little pot. I'm gonna just use this tiny pot, and that will fit both of those micans cuttings. And then I also have some of these little neon philodendron cuttings that I'm gonna put a couple into there. I have 4, and I think I only want to put like 2 or 3 in there. Okay, so I've gathered up my scindapsus, micans, and then the neon heartleaf, and I know they all have different, you know, watering schedules, all that sort of stuff, but I think it's gonna be fine. And they're not gonna be in here like long term unless they're happy, so I'll separate them if they're not. But I'm gonna put a little bit of soil in this and kind of just put each cutting in one at a time. You know, scratch that. I'm actually gonna put the micans in first because they have the longest roots. I'm going to definitely add some more cuttings into it, and that's why I kind of left some space there. Just, you know, if I wanted to add a Brazil in there or something like that, I could totally do that. But yeah, I'm super happy with that. I just think it's a fun project, but I will definitely keep you updated on how this goes as well. That will just be over on my Instagram at the Petite Plant. But yeah, next I'm gonna do some peperomia and then maybe some string of hearts. I haven't decided for sure yet if I want to pot up some of those cuttings that I have. I think first though, I am going to repot the peperomia Hope. I just have this pot right here, and I think that that will do better for that plant than the one that it's currently in, because this one has like some drainage at the bottom. I mean, it came with a tray as well, but I'm probably not going to use the tray. I might. No, I won't. I won't use the tray. But yeah, that should be a bit better because it doesn't have that like little well that, or moat. I don't know if you call it a moat, well, whatever it is. The little spot where water pooled down at the bottom. So this should be a lot better for it. Okay, so now that's all potted up too. It's all happy in there, and I hope this does better because I really want to make it thrive and I just want it to be happy, but obviously you can't win them all. I'm going to wash these leaves off afterwards, and I'm not going to water any of these just because the soil that I used was very wet already. So I'm not going to water any of these. I usually do water plants that I have just repotted or just potted up after being in water, like as a propagation. But this soil was very, very wet, so I'm just gonna leave it this time because it's gonna be totally fine. And the problem with some of these was that it was overwatered or that the soil was retaining too much water, so I think it's best to just leave them. But I definitely need to clean them up because the soil did get everywhere, and you know, wet soil just sticks to everything. But those do need to be cleaned up for sure. Okay, so next I do have a lot of peperomia that I need to pot up. Like I showed you, I have just, I mean, this whole entire thing needs to be potted really. And I think I might do something similar as my little hybrid pot of like philodendron and stuff, because I have these little terracotta pots and I think I can fit a couple peperomia cuttings into them. I know I have 2 peperomia frost cuttings that I for sure need to put in here. But if I can fit any more, that'd be great, and I will probably do that. A little peperomia update for you guys though. So I took this cutting from a peperomia obstifolia like a month ago or so when I rehabbed those plants. And yeah, so I took a cutting and I didn't know if it would produce a whole nother plant like peperomia usually do, because it's like a cane peperomia. This doesn't have the same grow pattern, but there are a couple leaves coming out the bottom, so it looks like it is going to be a whole new plant, which is super exciting because I didn't know that would happen, and I love experimenting and finding out new things. Okay, so I have 2 peperomia cuttings that need to be potted, and I think I am gonna pot them together. I have this watermelon, which, I mean, look at the root system on that, that's insane. And then I have this, it's a ripple of some sort. I don't know exactly what kind it is, but I'm gonna put those together into one pot because I think they could look cool. Okay, so now I have this one. It's got the ripple on the back and the watermelon in the front. And I also have this little, pilea, and I don't really have a spot for it, so I think I'm gonna throw them in here as well. So there we go. I think he's super cute. I know some people don't like mixing plants like this, but who really cares, you know? They can all be friends in this little pot together. But yeah, I think that's super fun. So I think those are all the propagations I'm gonna be repotting today. I'm gonna leave the rest for a little bit, but I've cleared out a lot of space, and I think that they're gonna grow really nicely. Like I said, I'll track all of their growth progress more closely on my Instagram, just because it's always hard to update you guys with full-on videos every single time there's like a new leaf or something. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna go clean up all these leaves and then repot that begonia, and yeah, we should be good. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for tuning in with me. See you later.